Hello everyone and welcome back to your channel Zara ASMR. We are here to read a little bit of this book, and it is educational book, so excuse me this one, and it is about teaching monolingual classes. Stay tuned and let's dive into it. Hello, the advantages that multilingual classes have are clearly important. However, the monolingual situation also has powerful advantages of its own. In reality, it's impossible to say that one type of class or teacher is simply better than another. It all depends on so many things. For many learners, the ideal would be a combination of monolingual and multilingual learning, although such opportunity obviously doesn't exist for most learners. Native and non-native speaker teachers. It is easy to think of considered reasons why native speakers of English have a lot of advantages as teachers of the language. It is sometimes easier for students to feel confident that a native speaker teacher really knows English well. In general, but not always, it is easier for native speakers to be confident that the English they are using is appropriate. Native speakers usually have fewer problems of words which they don't know coming up in class. However, non-native speakers are often better at explaining points of grammar. All teachers have to deal with the questions which they can't answer on the spot. There is nothing wrong with telling a group that you will look something up and tell them next lesson. In many classes, it is easier for native speakers to insist on students using English in the classroom, especially if they don't know the student's language. Again, these are important points, but as with multilingual classes, it doesn't make sense to say that native speakers or non-native speakers are simply better. In this case, too, the ideal thing for most learners is probably a combination of the two types of teacher. It is quite clear then that multilingual classes and native English teachers have many positive features. However, the equally important positive aspect of monolingual classes and non-native speakers teachers that don't be discussed much less frequently. Now, guys, with the advantages of non-native speaker teachers in monolingual classes, we can divide the special resources of non-native speaker teachers in monolingual classes into three main areas. First, knowledge of the English language and language learning. Second, knowledge of the students' L1, knowledge of the students' environment and culture, knowledge of the English language and languages. The English language, almost all non-native speakers have studied English at some point. The knowledge of English may not be as complete as native speakers, but they have thought about and struggled with the language. Many non-native speakers have sophisticated So